So that was a nice lead into combustion. And with combustion, we take hydrocarbons, we combine them with oxygen, and what we get out of it is CO2 and water vapor. And by hydrocarbon, the most simple hydrocarbon would be methane, which is just C, H, 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 CH4. But you can get long carbon chains, and this is what we see in gasoline. And on every one of these carbons, you have hydrogens attached. So this would be called a long chain hydrocarbon. And coal has even longer chains. Okay, so I'm going to erase this just so that we can kind of get it out of our way. But what I want to talk about is some of the pollutants that come from this combustion process. So first thing that we can have is sometimes we get carbon monoxide, and that can happen when there's not enough oxygen during the reaction, and it's toxic, so it's considered a pollutant. And when you're burning coal, you also get SOx from sulfur in the coal, and this would be coal. And anytime you have high heat, like what happens during a combustion, you get the formation of nitrogen oxides. Nitrogen gas in the air can mix with the oxygen and form those oxides. All right. So these two that we just listed, these are considered primary pollutants because they go on to form secondary pollutants, H2SO4 and HNO3, which are secondary pollutants that are responsible for acid deposition, acid rain. And those would be so we can fix this problem of acid rain by using smokestack scrubbers when we're burning coal. So let's do that in green as a solution. So smokestack scrubbers. The scrubbing part of it is what's really removing the sulfur oxides, and it's doing that chemically. You're taking SOX, you're mixing it with some kind of I forget the details, but it's a calcium mineral. I think it's calcium oxide. And out of it, you're getting calcium sulfates. And this is like a slurry. So it's something that you can actually collect, whereas these are just gases. And since you can collect it, then you can, bury it or do whatever you want with it, or use it as the precursor to some other chemical process to make some other different product. And recording here, so just ignore me. Okay, so let's also talk about photochemical smog, which comes from cars. And you have VOCs, which would be like unburned fuel hydrocarbons. And you also have the nitrogen oxides. Those are the two main components, the two main primary pollutants. And then you combine that with UV from sunlight, and through some complex chemical equations, chemical reactions, you get ozone produced. And of course, you also have this haziness that we associate with smog. This O3 is, of course, a tissue irritant. It can make your eyes burn, your lungs burn, plants' leaves can turn yellow. So this is, keep in mind, tropospheric ozone, which down here is bad, but up in the atmosphere, in the stratosphere, it is good. So how can we solve this problem? Well, we just saw that with coal burning, we can solve the acid rain problem using smokestack scrubbers. Now we're able to solve the photochemical smog problem using something called catalytic converters. And what these do is they make sure that the hydrocarbons get fully burned off inside of this is like part of the tailpipe. So the hydrocarbons get burned properly into CO2 plus H2O. And these converters also make sure that any carbon, actually let's step back a minute. They also make sure that any NOx, NOx, gets converted into nitrogen and oxygen. And so that immediately just wiped out these two as the source of the problem of ground level ozone. One other thing they do, which is kind of a bonus, which is nice, is they take the carbon monoxide and they convert it to carbon dioxide and H2O. So they fully burn off the carbon monoxide. Okay?